I used to have this series on my channel called Fixer Upper where I would renovate houses that you all built for me, but they weren't like your average house. There was usually a nightmarish backstory about how like the family got eaten by a cow plant and now the house is haunted and there's graves in the backyard and there's like all these cracks in the wall and it's broken and overgrown. And then I would take that nightmarish house and try to fix it up into something a little bit more normal. It's been a really long time since I did anything like that here on my channel, and I thought it might be fun if I tried to make the fixer-upper this time. The plan today is to make a disastrous abandoned farmhouse in The Sims 4. So first of all, I should warn you, this build uses a lot of packs. I would argue that it probably uses almost all of the packs, which is really bad, but I mean, I did what I had to do for the story, okay? I usually try not to use this many kits all at once, but like in this one, the basement treasures kit and the clutter kit, like all those things worked so well. The basement treasure kit is literally full of like dusty old cracked furniture. And then like the werewolves pack and the vampires pack have all these cracks in the wall and things like that. I also used a lot of cottage living and horse ranch. Because it is supposed to be a farm, those things fit in really well. And then the other slight problem about this house is that it's not functional. I mean, I wasn't trying to make it functional. The whole point is that it's completely abandoned, so nobody's living here to fix anything. It's full of trash, and also like all the appliances are broken, stuff like that. But because it is so full of trash, there's not really like walking space to get to and from places. And I also used a lot of debug things. Like, so for example, I used a debug version of a broken stove. Eco Lifestyle has a lot of debug trash things you can use, and a large amount of them are broken appliances and plumbing fixtures. There's like broken bathtubs full of trash and broken fridges and a broken stove that's missing a door. So obviously this broken stove doesn't work. It's not even a real item, it's just decor. But basically what I'm trying to say is the house is full of things like that. So if you wanted to play in this, it's not gonna work. Like, you're gonna have to make some adjustments for it to work, but I guess that's the whole point. It's a fixer-upper. And to make matters worse, okay, I spent hours building this, hours making it and cluttering it and doing the landscaping and filling it with trash. And then yesterday, which is just the day after I built it, I went on stream and I renovated it on stream. And guess what I did for the first half of that stream? I deleted all of the trash that I placed. I went through, I made all this effort to put all these things in just to delete them. But I have kind of a storyline here to this plan, all right? So let me walk you through it. I was picturing this house being like a really old farmhouse that belonged to a family. In my vision in this timeline, the house was already old when they started living there. I don't know what year we're talking, okay? I'm not trying to make anything historically accurate. It's just an old house that has a family living in it. They work on the farm, they've got a barn and a horse, but then something goes wrong. Something happens to them. Maybe they died, maybe it was a cow plant attack, maybe they just moved. They went somewhere else. But either way, the house is now abandoned, okay? And it stays abandoned for a really long time. And over the years, like the tile starts peeling up. Obviously, there's like mold growing, there's spiders everywhere. Maybe some teenagers came and threw a party here, so there's like trash all over the place. People start using it as a dump, so they bring their old appliances and just kind of leave them in the yard when they stop working. The fence starts to break down. Everything's growing out of control outside. The weeds are everywhere. There's cracks in the windows. The paint is peeling. The roof is obviously falling apart. As you can see, it's got holes in it. So that's what we're making now. We're making that like long time abandoned version of this house. But then I started thinking, you know what? What if I tried to renovate it? Like, what if I tried to make a version of this same house that's less, you know, gross. And so what I did was I tried to not renovate it, but I almost tried to restore it. I kept describing it as not restoring, but rewinding, because what I did yesterday is go back and try to bring the house back to how I imagine it would have been before it got abandoned. So in the timeline, I want to make a couple versions of this. I made one that's like back in time, pre-disaster. This one is obviously the disaster version. And then what if I also made a version that's like modern day, where a new family has bought the house and come in and renovated it? Maybe like tried to update it so it's a little bit less old seeming everywhere. So basically, I think I might make 3 videos on this house. I don't know if that's overkill, but I think it's fun. So this is the first one. This is the starting point of the nightmare. And let me know if you want to see the other 2 builds, if I should make videos on those also, where I like restore and then renovate. But for now, I feel like I should talk more about the exterior here, because this is one of those trust the process kind of moments. We have these a lot in Sims builds where like you see see it and you think, you know, that's pretty strange, Kayla. Why are you doing that? And right now, the trust the process thing is the fence, because this was a very controversial addition, according to my Twitch chat. So you might notice the fence is kind of like missing in some places. It's diagonal in some places. It's looking a little bit weird. I had good reason for that, okay? I was trying to pretend that the fence was broken, because in my mind, I would like for the fence post to have like fallen over. Maybe there was a storm and it knocked some of it over. The wood's probably rotting and it's gotten messed up over the years. So I wanted it to look like that. You just can't really, achieve that exactly in The Sims. So I did my best to just delete some parts and make a couple parts angled, because I thought that was gonna look okay. Some people thought it looked horrible. Other people liked it. You could be either. I don't know. But for like hours in my stream chat, they were like, fix the fence, please, what's wrong with you? And I never fixed it. I left it broken. I liked it. I thought it was cool, but I understand if you don't. The broken fencing is kind of a theme in this build, because I also found in debug a couple broken fence items. There's a lot of fake fences in debug that you can access, because all of the fences that the Sims team uses in the environment, you can even see some here in the back of this lot and like that area where the horses can go. All of those fences are in debug, and there's quite a few that have like some different variants, and some of them have broken variants where like the poles are falling over. And so I use those to kind of fence around where the farm would be in like the back left corner of the lot. You'll kind of see that come together a little bit later, because right now I'm working on landscaping, and let me tell you, the amount of landscaping that went into this build, there were so many plants. I felt like I was putting plants down for hours. I was, again, digging through debug, looking for like anything that could pass as overgrown, maybe rusty. I was looking for trash. I put like a broken down truck in the front yard. And then in the landscaping, I kind of tried to like frame all of the buildings and all of the path with plants. I was kind of trying to envision that maybe there was some original landscaping like years ago that is now like really overgrown. Some of it is dead, some of it is not. Like there's kind of some variation in color of the bushes, which I kind of liked. I had a lot of it growing through into the barn. I put a dirt floor in the barn, and also it's kind of open to the outside, so I felt like it made sense if the plants were kind of growing inside the barn. There isn't anything growing in the main building, but the barn felt like it kind of fit. I did consider adding dead trees, but I thought I would just do like real big overgrown trees instead. And I also did a lot of work with terrain paint on the exterior, which you will see. You know why? Because I had to do it twice. The terrain paint glitches in this game are really starting to get to me. I had a phase there where it wasn't happening to me as much, so I wasn't as mad about it, but the past couple of weeks, I have had so many terrain paint bugs that it's really making me want to scream. So before, the terrain paint bug that was most common was happening on like lot reloads. So if you closed the game and came back, then your build might have terrain paint disappear. Or if you like went to manage worlds and got a sim to come move in and then came back, you might have terrain paint disappear. But the glitch I've been having recently isn't with all of the terrain paint disappearing, it's with just some. So you can see I put this like light brown path in, right? You can see I've like framed it with plants. Then I went in and got some darker dirt to put underneath all of the plants. And I put a third color of terrain paint underneath where the farm section is gonna go. And the strangest part about this is it didn't delete all of my terrain paint. I was like furnishing the inside of the house, and I looked back out there and almost all of the terrain paint was gone, but that path stayed there. Everything else got deleted. So all of the like underneath plant stuff, all of the farm stuff, all gone. The path was still there, but the path was a different color. It had like switched that light brown to the darker brown color. I genuinely cannot wrap my head around how and why that is happening. Like, how is it keeping my terrain paint, but switching it out for a different color? So anyway, I ended up just keeping that extra color and then changing the paint to match around it, but I did have to do the terrain paint twice. I don't think there's been a single big build recently where I haven't had to do terrain paint twice. It's always the builds where like I put the most effort into terrain paint. This would never happen on a starter home. Like you're just doing a little bit of paint by the front doors plants. That would never delete. It's always this kind of thing where you spend a significant amount of time planning and practicing and painting everything. This is where it deletes. It's never on the easy ones. It's always on the big ones where it deletes itself. Anyway, I still have yet to figure out what the cause of that glitch could be. Like, I don't really understand why it did that. And I didn't notice when it first happened because I was furnishing the inside of the house when it happened. So I don't know, like, did I place an item that made it happen? And I also feel like I've been noticing it a lot, specifically with this light brown terrain paint, but I also only really ever use dirt terrain paint. I don't use a lot of stone anymore. So I guess I don't really have a good sample size. I can sit here and say it always happens with dirt terrain paint, but I don't use the other ones, so how would I know? Anyway, we're kind of finally finished with the exterior here. I did a lot of work in the barn as well, but like I said, this was a long video, so I cut out the barn and I'll show you a tour of it at the end. On the inside, we're starting in the kitchen, and I should apologize because a lot of this is quite dark because I intentionally didn't put a lot of lights. I did do a lot of really fun things in the kitchen and bathroom though. There's just one bathroom in this house and it's downstairs right next to the kitchen, which I thought kind of made sense because the plumbing would all be together in there. And with all of the fixtures, like the fridge and the sink and the toilet, I broke them because if you are in live mode, you can shift click on like a toilet and you can break it, and then it causes like the pipes to start overflowing and like it makes puddles everywhere and it's broken. So I shift clicked to make everything dirty and to make them all broken because I kind of wanted to have like a nice sink. It is an old house and it is like a rundown sort of house, but I don't want to put like the laundry day wooden sink in here because this was at one point a really lovely home. So instead of having like broken wooden stuff, they'd probably have like really nice antique stuff. It's just gross now. So I shift clicked to make all of the counters dirty. I broke the fridge. Like I really went all out with that. The more you stare at it, the more you really realize just how gross it is. Like the gross dirty toilets are really, really disgusting. The flies and the green coming out of them. I usually don't really look that closely at the dirty stuff in the kitchen and bathroom, but I have been today. And frankly, I wish I wasn't because it's really gross. Oh, I also kind of hid some gnomes around the place in this house. I put like the naked gnome in the shower. I put one on the couch watching the fireplace. I think I also put one at the desk in the office. I kind of have fun like hiding some little sneaky things around like that. The house is quite small, so I had a lot of excuses to dig around to look for sneaky things to hide in here. It's also kind of fun because this is obviously very different from what I usually build. I mean, I make a lot of farmhouses, but I don't usually make a lot of old, dirty farmhouses. And so because it was old and dirty, I had an excuse to use a lot of things that I never do. I got these like muddy paw prints and put them through the door into the bathroom. I put a litter box, and I was looking at like poops in game because there is debug animal poops you can find, but I realized that the potatoes made a little more sense. So I put like potatoes in the litter box as if they were little cat poops. There's this new pot rack from Horse Ranch that has like a rusty swatch, so I used that. Oh my gosh. And this is one of those times that the living room took me so long. You don't usually see this part in my build videos because when I'm like recording for myself, I'll just cut it out. And like if I'm uploading a speed build, you don't see like the voiceover part where I'm like sitting here spending ages trying to figure out a rug. Because when it's sped up, you can't really tell just how much time and effort went into making that decision. But obviously I streamed this build first. And so when you watch the live streams of these builds, instead of it being 20 minutes long, it's like 4 hours long, okay? And in those 4 hours, I tend to be a little bit indecisive. Somebody in my chat was like, oh my God, I usually watch your YouTube videos. It's my first time watching your stream. And I never could have imagined how long you spent trying to pick out a rug. And you know what? They're right. I feel called out, but they were right. I don't think that streaming helps because when I'm just doing it for myself, I'll be like, oh, I like that one. I'll put it down and then keep it. But when I'm live streaming it, I'll say, I like this one, but I also like that one. And the chat's like offering 5 different suggestions of other rugs. And so I sit there trying them all and then being like, but which one is best? And it becomes like a whole thing. It's fun. Suggestions are fun, but it is one of those times where it's like, there's too many options. How are we gonna decide? And it's like such a non-issue too. It's a rug in a dirty old Sims house. Like it's dark in here. You can barely see it. I covered it with trash, but I still put so much thought into it. The downstairs definitely took me the longest, I think, out of everything. And then the upstairs kind of went a little bit faster. This kind of house is weird for me because I never know how much I want to put in because you kind of want to imply that nobody's been here for a long time. So there is furniture, but it's kind of like messed up. Maybe it's broken. Maybe it's like rotated. Maybe a dining chair is lost. Maybe things got stolen. Like we're implying this house was having people hosting parties in it, like when it was freshly abandoned. So people might have taken something or broken something. So in the bedrooms, I think I put a little bit less furniture up there. Part of why this house is not functional is because there isn't actually a bed in the primary bedroom. I used that heart bed clutter item from the basement kit because it's like a big giant mattress leaning up against the wall, which is perfect for this. The basement kit also has a broken mirror with like boxes leaning up against it. In general, it's got a whole bunch of boxes. It has a broken coffee table. There's a broken bookshelf. Werewolves has tons of broken things too. There's like this dining chair that has a book underneath one of the feet to make it even. There's kind of some chairs that have like peeling paint or peeling paint. There's chairs that have peeling paint. Oh my God. So I used a bunch of those things. Both of those packs packs also have some cracked photos on the wall. There's like this cracked picture of Bob and Eliza Pancake's wedding day, so I put that up in here. That actually is an interesting piece of lore because, like, how did the people who live here know Bob and Eliza? Are they distant relatives? Are Bob and Eliza to blame? Oh my god, what if Bob and Eliza were the people who lived here and they like fled to Willow Creek for some reason? And everyone thinks they're dead, but they actually just changed their identity and moved into that ugly house in Willow Creek. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be mean. I don't really like their house though. I must say, even looking at this, I think their house is a downgrade. If this one belonged to Bob and Eliza, that's actually big drama because this house has 4 bedrooms and 3 of them belong to kids. And Bob and Eliza don't have any kids, so that poses the question, where are the kids? I have actually a big confession to make. Recently on my Twitch streams, I've been playing the Not So Berry challenge, and I did something really bad. I deleted a baby recently because I had twins and I didn't want twins. I just wanted one baby. Here's the problem. I have a good excuse. I have a mod that lets me have up to 24 Sims in my household, which is usually just for like, you know, challenge videos or like, you know, things like that. I don't actually want to have more than 8 Sims in a household. I just always keep the mod on because what if I need it? Well, I had a science baby thinking it was going to be 1 science baby. Turned out it was 2 science babies, and I then had 9 Sims in my house. So something had to be done, and I didn't want the second baby. So I unfortunately named the baby Delete, and then I deleted it. I know it's just a Sim, but it does feel cruel. Anyway, we were kind of joking about how maybe that baby Delete, perhaps in like some alternate universe, he's the one who lived here. And maybe he's the one that like comes back as an adult and buys the house and renovates it. I don't really have a reason. It's just, we were looking for lore. We were searching for lore. And when you do chaotic things like delete a child on your stream, your Twitch chat doesn't want to let it go. And so they keep bringing it up and trying to find ways they could bring it up. This is an easy way to bring it up because there's like an empty nursery in this house. Anyway, I decorated the primary bedroom and now we are doing the nursery next. And this is kind of a good example of what I was talking about with the furniture and like the non-function of this house, because the primary bedroom to me is obvious that it was at one point a bedroom. Like it has the mattress, it's got a nightstand, it has a dresser, and there's like a broken mirror and some stuff, but it's all kind of like rearranged. It's like pushed up against the walls. It's kind of like dirty now. It's like a disassembled bedroom because nobody lives here. So I was kind of going for that same thing in the other bedrooms. The baby's room has like some abandoned toys and there's lots of like spider webs and stuff everywhere. I did leave one little toy inside of the bassinet. And then there's 2 other rooms. There's a kid's room and what I imagine to be a teen's room. In the kid's room, I put like a bunch of little dog poops. I don't really have a reason as to why I did that, but I guess we're implying that some animals had been living here with like the muddy paw prints and the potato litter box. So I put these like dog poops inside of the other bedroom. And then I found the stuff from the paranormal stuff pack. That's like the ghost hunter career stuff pack. So there's a whole bunch of little ghosty clutter items. There's a few things that you can find in haunted houses, like these like creepy dolls. It literally is called creepy doll in game. So I put a few creepy dolls in the kids' bedroom and like around the house a little bit because I was kind of trying to channel the haunted vibes. But then when I went to renovate this house yesterday, I realized that you can't delete the creepy dolls. So if you download this house, you might encounter the same problem as me, where you try to delete it and you can't click on it and you can't delete it. There are ways around it. You can have your sim come in and click on it in game, not in build mode, and destroy it. And you can also just shift click on it and destroy it, but not from build mode. It has to be in live mode. So just, I'm warning you now, there are some creepy haunted dolls that try to be stuck here. You can get rid of them, even if at first it seems like you aren't going to be able to. That was kind of alarming when I first discovered it, so figured I would share. I don't think there's anything else that's immediately concerning about this house. I didn't put any graves, although, okay, I guess I did hide a couple skeletons in here. I put a skeleton like looking out through the front window in the middle of the house, and I also hid a skeleton in the basement of the barn, which I will show you later. Oh, I found a body outline in debug and I put that too. Okay, so there's a handful of things that are scary, but nothing that should be really bad for you personally aside from the doll if you decide to renovate this house. But with that, we're just about done building everything. I've kind of shown you the process. I did cut out a couple things, so I want to go into the game now and show you the whole build finish and give you a tour. It's sometimes easier to see that way, and also I can point out my favorite things. I am so sorry to say that I built this on the lot that the Grove family lives in, so you do have have to get rid of them, or at the very least destroy their entire house if you want to place this lot down. I wanted a 40 by 30 lot, and there isn't a lot of them in this world, okay? Which is devastating because I think this lot is one of my favorite ones I've ever seen in The Sims 4. It's so good, but unfortunately it's also gone. So let me just clear it up, get move objects on. And on the gallery, it's called the Farmhouse Fixer Upper. Like I said, ridiculous number of packs. I'm so sorry. It is only 81,000 simoleons though, which isn't too bad considering how much is placed here. Most of it's just debug and the house isn't that big, so at least it's not too pricey. But this, my friends, is the finished farmhouse. As you can see, the lot is full of mess, like everywhere. I'm gonna start by showing you around the exterior. I put a few things that I really loved, like for example, this little cone and sign blocking the front door. I ended up adding all these cracks in the windows kind of around here. I love this roof texture because it has actual holes in it. Like you can see the holes. On the side of the house, I put some little planter boxes with like a dead tree and a dead rose bush because I figured that these Sims used to be gardeners, so they probably would have little flowers, but they didn't really last. They've got their old truck in the front yard with like some parts falling out of it. There's so much trash. Like everywhere you look, there is trash outside and you can't really walk through the path to get back here. Then you get to the barn, and the barn I cut out from the speed build because it took me so long, but I am really proud of it. The roof is kind of overgrown obviously, but when you first walk in, you see these like holes in the floor. I did that on purpose, and then I put these like slats in them. You can see them from down here. It looks kind of strange from the basement, but I liked the idea of the floor kind of falling apart and the basement kind of being ruined. There's an old truck in here, there's trash and like storage everywhere. And then if you go into the basement, this obviously used to be a wine cellar. You can see the remnants of some of those things. This poor guy died making nectar. If he had only worked a little bit faster, he could have got that vitality nectar, but unfortunately not. The basement's hard because you can't really see it with these slats, but it looks cool, so I kept it. And then in the back over here, this is that farm area I was talking about. You can see those broken down fences. I put these little logs here as if they used to be parts of the fence, but they're fallen. And then I filled the garden plots with these like weird vampire vines as if they're dead crops that used to be there. There's a tractor. I don't know why they had a tractor for such a small field, but they did. And then when you actually come inside the house, you walk straight into this front door. We have some old mail kind of piled up. There's an old landline phone, and there's just stains and cracks everywhere. That's kind of a theme. The first room is the living room. It's got a fireplace and a little bookshelf. That's one of those creepy dolls I was talking about that you can't click on. But look at how cool some of this furniture is. This thing is perfect because it looks so broken. If we follow this little muddy paw print trail, it takes you into the kitchen. This is that broken stove I was talking about. It's part of why it's not functional, but it's got like the door falling out and leaning up against it. There's clutter all over the place. Oh, unfortunately, it appears that when you download it off the gallery, it didn't keep my broken thing. But the sink and the toilet were broken. You saw it. This is the bathroom. Down here we have a little hallway that leads you upstairs, but there's also a very, very small office in here, and there's a dining room. And I had a lot of fun with this. I put these little cups down as if the ghosts were having like a little dinner party. So they have these really nice like specter sips. I put a broken mirror. I loved using these broken curtains from the spooky stuff pack. That is Bob and Eliza, as I described. We got some cool stacked up broken chairs, you know, creepy doll, all sorts of things. Upstairs, there's a little hallway right here full of more trash and creepy things. This is that skeleton I mentioned that you can see from the outside. He just stares at you from the window. Easy to miss when you're far away, but when you look up close, he is right there. And then we have the primary bedroom, and listen to this. When I pick this thing up and put it back down, it makes a scary noise. Wait for it. What is that? Isn't that so creepy? I have never noticed that before. Never once noticed that before, but this is the bedroom. Next to it, we have a little nursery. We have that tiny kids room with the poops around the place. I loved the box on the bed. And then last, we have like maybe a teens room. They have an old desk and some storage, some mess. We kind of tarped over one of the windows. And that, my friends, is the entire build. So like I said, I did actually already do a build where I tried to restore this to how it would have been pre-disaster. So let me know if you want to see that. And then if you like it, we could always try to renovate it again, but like post-disaster. So imagine what would happen if a sim came in the present day and then tried to fix it up. Because I've had a lot of fun visualizing the lore of like how this would have been in its heyday before, you know, disaster struck. And if you do want to renovate this yourself, it's on my gallery. Feel free to do it. I love this kind of thing. For me, the story and like the detail is really fun to do. So I hope that you enjoyed this. And with that, I think I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Yes, by the way, I am wearing an official Taylor Swift Speak Now cardigan. It just came today and I'm really excited.